Hey everybody, welcome to day 3. I'm excited about today because we're going to talk about something that I have the expert on. Not very many days do you get a chance to hear from the expert on any topic. This is my good friend Mike Perkinson. Mike is the leader of an international ministry called Praxis. Praxis trains and coaches church planters all around the world, and it has a goal of kingdom impact all over the planet through making disciples. And so what I want to talk about today is a thing that I came to know about just a few years ago. It's a very biblical thing, of course. It's called the irreducible core. It's the irreducible core of our Christian faith. And so what I want to ask Mike about, we're going to refer to this probably as the IC. So Mike, if you'll just take a minute and explain what is the irreducible core.
Lost in the irreducible core, and we're stealing this from Jesus, obviously, and we figured he might be a good person to steal from since he was a consummate disciple maker. The irreducible core is nothing more than the 3 simple statements that Jesus made. He said we're supposed to love God with all of our heart, mind, soul, and strength. As we love ourselves, we're supposed to love our neighbor. And then he goes on at the end of his ministry life to say, as you go, make disciples. And so he reduces all of Christianity, the 613 various laws that they had in the Old Testament, Jesus condensed down into 2 simple things. So he says we're supposed to love God, a primary thing, and then the next thing is laid alongside, and it's just like it, has equal weight, which is to love others as you love yourself. And so what we say in regard to Christianity is that you can't be any less than this and be a follower of Christ. Matter of fact, we actually think it's probably the mission statement for every church, what we're supposed to do. And so when you speak of Christian mission, our mission is to love God, respond to His love by loving Him with all that we are, loving others as we love ourselves, and not going. The command is not going to make disciples. The imperative is on making disciples. Probably render it this way: as you go, make disciples. Wherever we live life, wherever we do this thing called Christianity, we're called to make disciples. And so we want to live our lives around that simple focus. That is your mission, it's our mission, it's everyone's missions who names the name of Christ.
So love God, love others, make disciples. So I'm thinking about how that applies to my life, how that applies to the lives of all the people watching. How is it that we can assess in ourselves how we're doing as a lover of God, lover of others, and a disciple maker?
Well, you know, the IC is a beautiful thing also when it comes to our mission, because not only does it help us understand our purpose, it's all relational in connection with the Father, but it's a great assessment tool that helps us know every single day how we're doing. When you go to bed at night, you can have a conversation with the Lord, and you can simply dialogue, because Scripture doesn't tell us to judge ourselves. We're inviting the Lord to make an inspection of our hearts. Search me, O God, see if there be any wicked way in me. So it's the Lord that you can dialogue with at the end of the day. How did I do today, Lord? Loving you. Did I love you with everything I am?
Right.
How did I do today loving others? And as I love myself, how am I doing in loving myself? Do I actually receive your love? Am I enjoying that? How am I doing in bearing fruit, beginning with my family, my home, those that I'm working with? Every single day you can correct back to that so that we stay on focus in relationship to God, on mission, His mission.
And so where do you think on those 3 things people end up struggling the most?
Church in the West fails predominantly because we don't have any idea how to do relationship, and if I can say it more poignantly, we don't know how to do family.
Oh, yeah.
Most of our stuff is tactical. We turn this mission into a tactical thing. Where we fail is in the first one. We don't know how to be sons and daughters. We don't know how to live in relationship to God. Most of us start this thing saved, enjoying Jesus. As soon as we enter ministry, we become a pastor, a worship leader. We forget to be sons and daughters. And if you forget that, you will burn out. You won't last long because your human strength cannot maintain this spiritual thing that you're in, the warfare that we're involved in, the weight that you carry. You can't do that without being a son and daughter connected to Christ.
Now, when I started a few years ago discipling people, especially worship leaders, I kept understanding as I would ask them that none of them really had ever had anybody disciple them before. Nobody ever really sat down and tried to invest in their lives. And so in the way that you see that third part of the IC, that disciple making, what does that really look like? Because I think it's a pretty foreign concept to us.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't not, because it is the basis of our Scripture. Austin, all discipleship is relational and incarnational. There has to be the the gift of presence to come alongside someone, to be in their life, in relationship with them. So if you take Luke 24, it's a great paradigm for us. The two that were walking Clopas, undoubtedly the two of them were part of Jesus' 70. They're discouraged because Jesus has died. The thing is over, so to speak. And Jesus shows up. They have conversation. They're asking tons of questions. Jesus essentially says, what's up? He enters where they are. He expounds and explains things based on Scripture. And at the end of the day, invite him for dinner. And once they do and he breaks bread, they recognize it's Jesus. Discipleship is entering life where people are, incarnating where they are, journeying alongside, unpacking through life and dialogue and confirming through Scripture the story of God, if you will. And at the end of the day, our hope is not that they see a brilliant disciple, but they see Jesus.
So it seems like to me, listening to that a better question for somebody, rather than, hey, how many people came to your service this week or whatever, a better question might be, who are you discipling right now?
Yeah, absolutely, Austin. I think it's important that we are aware of who's coming. We want to make invitation to all, because what we're involved in is trying to get as many people to the Father's table as possible because of what Christ has done. But the issue for us is really making disciples, and how many people are responding to that you're investing in. Jesus had his 3 and his 12, his 70. Although he spent time with the crowd, his focus was on a small group of people. And we've learned from Jesus, if you want to start an organization, you focus large. But if you want to start a movement, you focus small. And we're after a movement. And Jesus did a pretty good job of starting one that's not been able to have been stopped since his beginning.
Yeah, that's great, Mike. Well, I'd say there's way more to learn about this, and there's way more that you're going to invest. And today what you're going to do in your workbook is work through the irreducible core, loving God, loving others, and making disciples. And not only assessing that for your own life, but also for the people that are in your team, and trying to make some next steps of what you can do to make disciples yourself of the people that are around you that God's given you. So Mike, thanks so much for your time today, man.
Most welcome.
That's great. God bless you guys. See you tomorrow.